Welcome back to tnoozLIVE at GBTA, presented by BCD Travel. I'm Martin Cowan, Editorial Director for Tnooz. Next up, we've got Jennifer Keltner. Jennifer's had a number of roles in corporate travel for a couple of years before forming Keltner Travel Consulting, which is a very specialized and important business. So Jennifer, can you just explain what Keltner Travel Consulting does?
Sure. So Keltner Travel Consulting is set up to support fighting human trafficking. It has become a passion of mine. I was doing a lot of volunteer work for end child prostitution and trafficking for the last 6 years, as well as focused on supporting an organization, International Justice Mission, which I was doing a lot of fundraising for. And that organization really got me going. My brother-in-law left his law partnership to actually fight human trafficking, moved his whole family to Bolivia when his youngest wasn't even 1 year old. So it really opened my eyes into this whole issue of trafficking and how big it is.
And so you talk to travel companies, travel management companies, suppliers about human trafficking and the ways in which the travel industry can help to address, recognize.
So when I was with Toyota, I spent a lot of time, mostly again, volunteer time in the evenings. We would do events with our Los Angeles Business Travel Association. We would do different monthly events, but we did a fabulous event, which I think is something I would love to see go around the country with. But we did a movie screening, Hollywood style, of a movie called Sold. And we did it to support ECPAT, but we had a lot of our vendor partners together. So we had Marriott International, Ritz-Carlton, HRS Global, the Parking Spot, Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines even flew the actress and her father to our session, and we had actors and actresses together after the movie was screened to kind of share what the work was about and share about ECPAT.
Okay. So you talk about ECPAT. What is that for people that don't know?
Yes, again, End Child Prostitution and Trafficking.
Okay.
It's our travel industry's initiative to address human trafficking, right? They put a lot of effort into training our hotel partners. They also help with legislation. And the goal, I think, for our industry is for people to sign the code. They put some contracts out there that they believe that our corporate travel industry vendors should follow in supporting the fight against human trafficking.
Okay, so I mean, how big is human trafficking? I know in the UK, our perspective is slightly different from maybe yours. Where we have human trafficking bringing people from Syria and Afghanistan into Europe, with people bringing people from Europe into the UK. So there's that scale of human trafficking, but it is a global problem. I mean, how big do you think it is on a global scale?
According to the International Labor Organization, it is $150 billion in net profit for human traffickers. So it's big. I talked in my session that I shared that Amazon just reported their quarterly profits at $2.5 billion. So that would make human trafficking 10 times larger than Amazon. When you look at, there are about 40 million people that are living outside the protection of the law, and 2 million are children globally being sex trafficked. And there's about 300,000 children here in the US.
I mean, that's a staggering number. I mean, 40 million people is a small country.
And that is human trafficking. So that's more than sex trafficking. That is also, modern day slavery.
Yeah.
So like an organization like International Justice Mission had helped me understand there are some horrific situations. One that they are very involved in is in Africa, in this lake, it's called Lake Volta in Ghana. And young boys are sent out to fish for tilapia. So they're actually helping the fishing industry, but these young boys are out fishing. When you think about, someone would say, well, I'd like that. I'd like to fish all day. Not like this. The boys aren't clothed, they are barely fed, and they're thrown overboard to get the fish nets cleared if they get caught. And it doesn't matter if the children can swim. They're expendable.
Well, that's a tragedy. I mean, but trying to sort of keep it in a a sort of tnoozLIVE context, I mean, what can technology do to help this, and travel technology in particular?
Yeah, so, well, travel technology, I would say one thing I want to share is there is, Ashton Kutcher has started a company that he uses technology for good. And his company's called Thorn.
Okay.
And basically, he says the rose is the child and the thorns are protecting the child. So that's why his company's called Thorn. Okay. Again, they're using technology for good. So what they're doing is they're reducing the time it takes to locate a child based on all the survey information of people that have been saved. They use that information and they're sharing it with local law enforcement. They are also using technology, and this is where I think, and other corporations have actually supported the development of this product that they're using, but they actually go ahead and they go in, if someone's in a porn site, they can actually go in and say a message, hey, what are you doing, right? What do you think you're doing, right? We want to help you. So let's stop it. Because I think that's the biggest concern I see is there's such a big demand, and the demand has to be addressed.
Yeah.
How do you reduce that?
Okay, and you've talked about Thorn, you mentioned ECPAT. You mentioned the International Justice Movement. I mean, are there any sort of other organisations that anybody that wants to bring this to the corporate table can sort of find out about?
The other one I really want to talk about for our industry is Polaris Project.
Okay.
Polaris has the National Human Trafficking Hotline. And in my session, I created a QR code so that the contact information can be given out. But it's a real simple number. It's 1-888-3737-888. And I would love travel managers to save it on their phones. I would love them to pass it to their travelers, that they should always have this. Because I just attended a couple of the sessions here at GBTA about women concerned with their own safety. I think that having something on there that if in situations where circumstances might occur that they might get themselves involved in a very difficult situation, possibly human trafficking, they should be able to help someone else or help themselves out of a situation and give a tip, right? Okay. I think there are so many circumstances in our industry right now that I have recently heard about that are just disheartening, right? You've got people, I have an example where someone said he was on a flight from Newark to San Jose, and he heard this girl behind him saying, I'm on my way to meet an NFL football player. I met her on Instagram. I met him on Instagram, and they basically she said, yeah, there's a limo waiting for me, and the hotel room's all booked, and I didn't tell my mother because I'm in my 20s, and this is the time to live my life. I basically shared that information with the airline involved, hoping again that they would look at, can they trace that information, know where the girl's seated, and look and see if they could possibly close a missing person situation or trace the credit card. I think there's so much our industry can do.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite interesting because, I don't want to sort of trivialize this by talking about travel tech, but all the things that all the airline IT providers are saying is that I should be able to know that the person that sat in seat 47C was called this, she lives here, the seat was purchased using this credit card.
Let's use technology for good.
Use technology for good to try and stop this. I mean, so we've got the hotline. Is there a way that corporates can maybe almost train business travelers to keep an eye out for this sort of incident when they're on the roads? I mean, is that part of policy? Is it part of HR? Is it just part of being a decent human being?
I would love to see fellow travel managers, and if they need any help, that's where I'm going to come into play. But really to start putting language out there that says it is not right for any of our travelers to exploit women and children, right, on a business trip, right? So that's my goal, is to really work within our industry, work with other fellow travel managers to look at how we, and thinking about technology, I do think that the expense systems and how well are they auditing, these charges that might flag a situation that could be trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's a bit trivial to sort of try and bring it back to travel technology, but I think there is a role that travel technology can play in identifying and also sort of tracking down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of coordination, I think, that needs to be had too with the technology, and the technology maybe even being shared and given to our government, right? And working very closely in partnership. That's, I think, again, this situation of human trafficking in our travel industry, again, we're not the only industry affected by this, but seeing how this has happened to us, it really is going to take an alliance between the nonprofits, the government, corporations, and travel corporations.
Well, I mean, travel is the third largest, at least, industry in the world, so it really should be doing something about this in a more structured way. So Jennifer, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. Very good luck with your projects, and anything that we can do, you know where we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, right. Martin Cowan, Editorial Director for Tnooz, signing off shortly. Thank you very much. Bye.